The Browns won. We're feeling good. The defense is dominant. We're ready for Baltimore. Fantasy football mid-season biggest winners and losers coming up right now on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
In the backfield, Latavius Murray. Huntley takes the shotgun snap. Back to pass. Looks. The ball got stripped away. In the air. The Browns fight for the ball. And it's picked up by Myles Garrett. He's going to score. Touchdown.
It's going to be sick.
Hey, how about that shutout? Huh? Still feeling good. Still feeling good. An extra day later, the Browns 27-0. I don't care if it was against the crappy Arizona Cardinals. We've been that crappy team enough. I'll tell you this, folks. Before we get started, I don't feel bad, and neither should you as a Browns fan. I don't feel bad for any fan base or any team. Not at all. For what we went through. Think anyone felt bad for, oh, poor Brown? Yeah, too bad. We went 1-31. Every other team can stick it. I don't care. Too bad, Arizona. You don't have any fans anyway. Who's a Cardinals fan? Have you ever met a Cardinals fan? I guess we have the channel for Cardinals. They do a great job there. But there's just not the hardcore fan base is what I'm saying for the Cardinals. The Browns, though, we deserve as a fan base to enjoy any success we get, and we're getting that off of that 27-0. Boy, great show for you today. Okay, we're going to go through the fantasy football midseason. I wanted to look who are the biggest surprises, positive or negative, based on preseason rankings. I like doing this exercise partway through. We'll get to that. My buddy Jamie Thomas is going to stop by, former director of fantasy football scouting and current host of Winnipeg Jets content in the NHL. So Jamie's a great dude. We'll go with that. But make sure, folks, okay? Make sure for Browns content, fantasy football betting, you're subscribing to the channel. Click the notifications. Follow us on Twitter, on X, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, on Instagram and TikTok, at AndyMCSports, okay? Get that, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. But right now, let's take a look at this game. I got some dog bones to give up, baby. Let's go. I got some bones. No doghouse today. You shut out a team, you don't get no doghouse. Let's start with the defense. This was a contract-making game. It's what I call it. Because you'll be able to collaborate these stats, these players, go for their next contract, and be able to point to the season that they had, like a Dalvin Tomlinson, 2.5 sacks. Be able to say, look how many sacks I got, because you feasted on this team. Clayton Tune, again, the guy had no business being out there, right? The Arizona Cardinals, they're in tank mode. Not the players. Players never try to tank, but Kyler Murray got reactivated. He'll be back, whatever you want to do there. But so what? We had freaking Cody Kessler for how long? Right? Eating baby carrots. Too bad. So for this, we look at the defense, and it was just an absolute feast. 7 total sacks. Everybody, like I said, Dalvin Tomlinson, 2.5, got a game ball from Coach Stefanski. Myles Garrett with another sack. Interception by Denzel Ward. Dog bone to the defense. Sione Taki. Everybody was eating. Everybody did great. On offense, this is where it gets a little more interesting. I'll tell you this. Was Deshaun Watson perfect? Nope. And on those short intermediate passes, he still has to get the touch. He still has to get his touch back on those. Throwing too hard, ground, whatever. But I will say, and if you watch that game, I think you'll agree with me. There were the 2 passes to Amari Cooper. Those were $230 million quarterback passes. That's what you paid for. That's what you were looking to get when it came to Deshaun Watson. That beautiful feed. Oh, the second one where he went right down at the 5 to Amari Cooper. Catching him in strike. Gorgeous. And the first one, too. The interesting part, though, is that Amari Cooper is the only wide receiver to have a touchdown. He has 2 now on the year. Nobody else does. And part of that has to be looked at with Deshaun Watson, with the rust, with the injury, PJ Walker, etc. But David Njoku only has a couple. Jerome Ford only has one as a pass-catching tight end or running back. It's to the case now where we need to see some progression because I just got reminded of this today. Folks, Amari Cooper's contract's up after this year. Amari Cooper's contract's up. And if you're the Browns, you should re-sign him, especially if he has that chemistry with your quarterback. But when you have Deshaun Watson's contract, you're paying Myles Garrett, you're paying Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit's contract's up. I would think you want to keep Grant Delpit. You have to start developing chemistry with some of these other receivers, namely Cedric Tillman, who got in there. I think he had one catch. He hasn't done anything. Elijah Moore, talk about fantasy surprises in a negative way. Elijah Moore hasn't done anything. I don't blame Elijah Moore either. Now, unless he's running the wrong routes, he's targeted a bunch, but he's on the field so much. And coming out of where the offense was and how important he looked in the preseason, very surprising. But Deshaun Watson gets the dog bone. Biggest thing, too, no turnovers. No turnovers. Huge for this Browns team. Not every game this year has had a turnover on offense. Not this last game. Again, Arizona Cardinals. Terrible team. You got the test right now. You get the win, you're 5-3. You're 5-3 dealing with all these quarterback issues. Losing Nick Chubb. Losing your starting right tackle, Jack Conklin. Jed Wills, by the way, left tackle has an MCL, PCL injury. Looks like he's going to miss about 6 weeks. If all goes well, should be back for the last couple games of the season. In the meantime, it's James Hudson. You bring up from the practice squad, you have Alex Leatherwood, a couple other guys. Good thing we have Bill Callahan, best offensive line coach in the business on our side there. But you're razor thin. You got to start getting those touchdowns in, and you have to do it and be prepared to be able to score in bunches against the Baltimore Ravens. And to the Browns' credit, by one way or another, they've been able to put up points, even with P.J. Walker. But now you have Baltimore. This team, Kevin Stefanski, has played the Ravens in general well. Last time out, well, you told poor Dorian Thompson-Robinson an hour and a half before the game he was starting against one of the best teams in the AFC. Of course, he looked terrible. And Stefanski didn't adjust the game plan. Credit to Stefanski. I dump on him a lot on the show, and quite often rightfully so. Guy called a hell of a ball game. But he called the ball game, and it was great. I love the distribution, the pass run distribution. Called the ball game when it was in hand. That's great. You have to do that, and you have to beat the bad teams. But when it's tough, when it's close, when the game's on the line and you need that call, that's where I think Stefanski has come up short. He's probably going to get that opportunity against the Ravens. Okay? That's where we're at, because you have the Ravens, you have the Steelers. The division's right here for the taking, Browns fans. Right here. We beat Baltimore. You lose to Baltimore, division's off. You can still make a wild card spot, of course, but division's off the table. Baltimore's 8-2 and swept you in the division. It's over. You win against Baltimore. Then you take on the Steelers, and we move on from there. There's a great chance. It's right in front of it. And the defense, too. Juan Thornhill was saying to the media that he's like, we got a bad taste in our mouth from the last time that the Ravens ran through them. Untouched Lamar Jackson rushing touchdowns. Untouched. This defense pitched a shutout for the first time since 2007. More dog bones to the defense. You got to make a point. You want to be a big player. You want to be considered the best as a defense, as a team, as a true contender. You got to beat the best. And right now, the Ravens are doing it. You got to do it. Can they? Ravens about 5.5-point favorites, I believe, as of right now, on the early score in Baltimore. It's going to be tough. You do it, you're a contender. You don't, playoffs aren't off the table, but the division is. Okay? So go Browns. We'll be back on Sunday. Make sure for the full Browns-Ravens preview. But let's switch it up a little bit to some fantasy football talk. And if you have any Browns comments, what your predictions are, your early predictions for the Ravens game, hit us up in the comment section. Twitter, @SickPodBrowns, @AndyMC81, Instagram, @AndyMCSports. And subscribe, notifications, jump into the conversation. Always love hearing from all of you. But now, let's bring in my buddy. He's the host of the Winnipeg Jets and former fantasy football director of scouting. My guy, look, he's wearing here. What a pro.
It's free clothes, buddy. It's free clothes. As you know, as a father of two, and I have 3 kids, you accept all the free clothes you can get. So
they become hand-me-downs. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Christmas gifts. If you get a Jets golf shirt coming up in the mail, I've worn it for at least 2 years.
Hey, so there's value in that. That's a Jamie Thomas Musk scent.
Is vintage is what they call it. I think this is what the kids call it.
Game worn.
Yeah.
Game worn. I wore it when I was eating the press box food. Yeah.
Yeah. I wore it during the game. I did not play in the game, but I watched it. I watched the game. So there you go.
Someone will play. How about now, folks? Jamie Thomas is a big Dolphins fan. Yeah. Where are you at with your Dolphins here, Jamie? Because look, they beat the bad teams. They can't beat the good teams, but that offense is just about second to none in the league.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, Andy, about the offense. But so I look at two moments already this year, and people are like, oh, look at your Dolphins, and it's just like, the rails are you're gonna go off the tracks here eventually, and I'm gonna tell you why. The game against Philadelphia, which was a winnable football game, Tyreek Hill has that pass in his hand. He has nothing but green acres in front of him for a touchdown, but he drops the pass, goes off his knee, rolls through the end zone. That's like, that is a play that you have to make. And then he talks trash about playing the game against Kansas City and the game in Germany, and he is the guy that fumbles the football that leads to the game-winning touchdown. Their offensive line is in shambles because of injuries. So I appreciate everyone saying how great the offense is, but I haven't seen a week where Jalen Waddle has really dominated. If Tyreek Hill doesn't get over 100 yards, I don't think they're really there. So they're not running the football because they can't. And Raheem Mostert, his value kind of drops off if you're a fan. Obviously you're trying to ship him, but I think anybody that's paying attention to fantasy football knows you should not grab onto Raheem Mostert because it's the way the offense is going. So I like what the defense is doing. I love Mike McDaniel. I love his
character.
Yeah, the organization is in a much better place than it was. But are they there as a team that can contend in a very deep AFC? I don't think so. And I think we've seen examples of it. They completely bail on the Buffalo Bills game. So it's just like we've seen too many times of this. So it is very exciting to know the offense is in a good place. But if you can't run the football, especially now, especially going to December, it's very hard to win in the NFL. And that was a winnable game against Philadelphia. That was a winnable game against Kansas City. And you don't come out on the right side of it. So I still think there's kinks in the team. There's lots of things to work with. But they are taking a good step as an organization with the people they've hired, with the players they've drafted, and the guys they've brought in. But they're not ready for prime time yet, in my opinion.
No, but they're in a great spot to win the division because Buffalo, all those injuries on defense, Buffalo's not scaring anybody right now. They can, but they're not. And that's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean the Jets' ineptitude, obviously, and the Patriots being what they are right now. It's a completely winnable division, but I hope it doesn't, and I know it won't. I hope it doesn't turn into those under 500 situations where everybody's critical of the playoff format. But it's like, if you don't win the division now with the way it is, the chances might not present itself again. And I think, if Aaron Rodgers comes back next year and the Jets have the defense they do,
maybe this year, Jamie.
I know. And to me, that is the most fascinating thing of this season. If Aaron Rodgers pulls this off, then like it's beyond comprehension of science and everything like that. Just for him to do that, it is a complete waste of a well-made defense that he got hurt as early as he did. And you may hate Aaron Rodgers, how you feel about him, but you cannot tell me you were not watching the Jets to go, what is going to happen? I hate Aaron Rodgers so much, but I'm going to happen. You would be lying if you said you weren't watching the Jets every week, if he was still in the lineup, to see what was going to happen because of the team that they've assembled there. It's unfortunate. I do not like the Jets, obviously, as a Dolphins fan, but it would have been interesting for football to see the Jets succeed this year in a completely wide open division outside of the Patriots.
Yeah, and they're still floating around. We'll see if it makes sense for them to come back. Now the Browns and that AFC North, Jamie, I don't think it's even up for debate the best division in football. All teams are at least 2 games over 500. Every team 5-3 except for the Ravens 7-2. No other division even comes close. That's the hardest division in football right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's compelling every week to watch. And somehow, full respect to the Browns for how they've hung in there as well with Deshaun Watson, for everything that came with him. And I'm preaching to the choir right now. The Browns fans that are watching this or listening to it, they know this stuff. The amount of money that you have put into this guy, it is unacceptable for them to be in this position. And they've given him weapons. There's not much else. You have a great offensive line, elite defense. Now you have to deliver, and he hasn't done that. And they're still hanging around. Love their defense. This is back in the days, the old stadium, the first go round of the Cleveland Browns, the dog pound and everything. And if this defense keeps playing the way it is, when the weather starts getting crappy, all gloves are off. So if you're not watching any game from the AFC Central, you're crazy every week.
Well, and I forgot to give a dog bone earlier, Jamie, to James Prochet the second, who the Browns brought off the practice squad to finally give them some zip on the punt return. And I forgot to look somewhere, and I didn't throw it out, but you get the box sets when a couple years ago when the cards were hot again, the sports cards and all that.
Yeah.
So I got some Panini ones, and it was like autograph in each pack, and I got a James Prochet the second autograph. I'm like, that's the bum card I get.
Yeah.
Right? Never heard of the guy.
That's the one you put in your bike spokes. That's the bike spoke card. Not that kids do that nowadays, but kids don't do that anymore.
No, I got to bring that out. I got to put that up. Maybe someone will want a James Prochet the second card. Yeah. But all right, let's get to some fantasy football talk here, man. Okay, and partway through, and I know poor Jamie, guys. I got to say, okay, Shane, bring up the tweet because you'll appreciate this on about Bijan Robinson.
Yeah,
and this is poor Jamie. Look, from our buddy Grant Gillen. Says Bijan Robinson isn't the fantasy darling he was projected to be. Jamie, I have a feeling you agree based on your fantasy season so far.
I drafted that guy first overall. I was laughing. I was like, it's a keeper league with 3 players. No. I was running to the podium if there was one. If there was so I drafted him first overall. I also throw in Anthony Richardson, but this is neglect in the finest form of what's happening in Atlanta. I appreciate guys like you that do fantasy football for a living, and you're saying, go out and get this guy. Okay, this is the year that the Atlanta Falcons finally get it, or this is the time to go grab this guy. It is so frustrating right now. Tyler Algier, Arthur Smith. He should be fired. I don't understand what Arthur Blank is doing. Why you look down every day at that football team and say, we have assembled all these players. Drake London. I can go down the list of all the Kyle Pitts. Yeah, how many times has anyone said Kyle Pitts? This is the time that Kyle Pitts breaks out. You have a guy like Bijan Robinson, who everyone says he's an elite player. He's a next generation. He's like this. It is beyond comprehension. If you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, you're dishing out money every week. Why is this offense not pouring in the points every week? I don't care what your system is. I don't care what is going on. I don't know how he lied to ownership about how he's going to run this football team or what is going on, because there's no way that team should not be scoring at least 28 points every week with the players they have. It is a waste of resources. It is a waste of resources.
Let's say an Andy Dalton, an average competent quarterback in that offense to distribute the football. You would uptick everybody we just named on that offense in fantasy. Bust it. I don't blame Bijan Robinson. Robinson's a hell of a talent. It's Arthur Smith messing it up. It's him putting Desmond Ridder in the lineup. I think maybe with Taylor Heineke, he's not even at an Andy Dalton level, but I think at least he's stable, and we've seen him pop in Washington. Maybe that helps a bit, but overall,
the offense, you're right. It's the offensive. It's the play calling. How is the players not going to Arthur Smith and go, "What are you doing here?
What are you doing?
You fool!" Anybody else? If Keyshawn Johnson was in Atlanta right now, he'd be losing his mind. Throw me the damn ball. That's what every player should do. So. It's a selfish perspective for me or anybody else that has Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Tyler Algier, whatever. We should be salivating every week with what Atlanta is doing, but we're not. It's so weird to me that you have this, and maybe it's arrogance of another level that you feel that you can run this football team as poorly as Arthur Smith is running this football team. Because how can the players be sitting there going, okay, we have this, but we're not going to give him the football because my coach says this is how we're going to run this team.
It makes no sense. And here's based on the biggest surprises, positive and negative at each position group in fantasy football so far heading into week 10. So Jamie, on the negative side for running back, Bijan Robinson preseason overall ranking, not running back, overall 5th.
Yeah.
His current 53rd.
What is that?
That stinks.
And I feel bad for people that have to do rankings every week because you're probably going, okay, this is the week he goes out, because if I don't put him here, if I don't put him at RB5, I'm going to look like an idiot. But it's just like every week you look like an idiot, because that guy, being under 10 fantasy points in a half PPR league is just beyond comprehension. And
unacceptable.
It's so weird that we have this conversation every week, that this is the way it goes. But anyways, I know your listeners and viewers are not here for me to feel sorry for ourselves, but I know you, Kyle Pitts, how many years in a row we said Kyle Pitts, this is going to be his breakout year. This is the year we're talking about Kyle. It's not going to happen.
Until you get a competent quarterback playing Atlanta, you are leaving fantasy. You're just leaving a juicy fantasy meat untouched on the table. It's untouched. And another negative, how about Tony Pollard? Preseason ranking, James?
Oh, my gosh.
4th overall. Where is he now? 64th. That's a guy, I'll tell you this. I was talked into it in one of my leagues, Jamie. I was like, okay. I think it's proven that Tony Pollard needs to be in a committee. He can't be a standalone guy. He can't go in between the tackles. Now, he can still be good in his own way as a high RB2.
Yes.
But as far as a first-round pick, hell no.
It's just... So that's like more arrogance for an organization. Like you have Ezekiel Elliott and we don't need this guy anymore. We have Tony Pollard. It's just some dumb team management in so many facets. Yeah. And another reason why Jerry Jones should not be running the Dallas Cowboys. Period. That's just Zeke might have been wearing down, but those two together made that offense purr, right? So and again, Dak Prescott, what are you doing giving this tiny guy to run between the tackles? Nobody can do that at that size. I'm sorry. It's just not the way it works. So
it's bad play calling too, as far as that goes. Now on the positive, what I have to go to, and you're right, I think currently you want to be fading on him, but based on preseason ranking, is there a better running back story than Raheem Mostert? Preseason ranking, Jamie, 77th overall right now, not just running backs, 9th.
It's nuts, and he scores another touchdown last weekend, and so the numbers, and it's when I was drafted the beginning part of the year, you stay away from the Miami Dolphins because there's just too many running backs. There's Jeff Wilson, you got Devin A-Chain, there's just too much there where you're I'm going to use a first round pick on this guy, and then I'm the guy goes and one of my guys in the league is Raheem Mostert, and he's first in our league right now because of the production that he has. So it's just. Obviously, the injured A-Chain is a reason why that plays into it. But I like those kind of stories where you're not expecting it. But I would challenge anybody that said anybody for the Miami Dolphins running back stable was going to be a top 10 running back this year because of the options in McDaniel's offense.
Yeah. And let's move to quarterback here. The pleasant surprise, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud was the 25th preseason ranked quarterback. 25th, not even a QB2, technically. Yeah. And right now, he is number 7. And boy, Jamie, he's just keeps going up, man. The guy doesn't turn the ball over. 5 touchdowns. I don't know what the Texans are going to be after this year, but I'll tell you this. Is there a stupider looking organization than the Carolina Panthers? And I was screaming on this program and every other program I was on as a guest. They are fools to not take C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young. Jamie, I know guys who are at the combine, guys from this show, from this network, the Sick Podcast, who stood beside Bryce Young and Andy, that dude ain't 5'10", man. That guy's 5'8", maybe.
Yeah.
First overall, and you're looking at C.J. Stroud? Wow.
That to me clearly is the owners running the show and should not be running the show.
Apparently that's come out, Yeah,
it reminds me of Nail Yakupov with the Edmonton Oilers. There's no way that kid should have went first overall. Not even in a million years. And it's funny how we look back on these things and do that, but you look at Bryce Young and all the talk, and of course the Ohio State quarterbacks do not succeed in the National Football League. And a lot of guys are looking at that, but you would think there's enough personnel guys that have seen that over the years when they know they have a legit quarterback, right? So, and I mean, maybe it's because he doesn't run. Maybe he's not the two-way threat that you want, but the fact that he is playing error-free football as a rookie quarterback, it's exciting to watch. And God love Houston for all the moves that they made in that draft to get the best defensive player. The best defensive player in the draft at that time. You could argue there's a little bit different this moment. And then of course you get the best quarterback out of the draft. So it's great to see. Now they just got to get them weapons, and we'll see how that works around that. But I like stories where guys succeed. I hate when guys are first overall or second overall and they turn out to be a bust. It's a lot more fun for all of us when things work out that way. But for CJ Stroud to put up 41 plus fantasy points last week is it's exciting.
Yeah.
And the Carolina Panthers, man, for the amount of capital you gave up, you better hope that some way. Part of the problem is what Carolina did is you took away one of the weapons that he would have had to use to throw to get to make that trade, and that's what makes that trade complicated, because it's great to have your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, but to put him in a position to fail the way that they have without any weapons around him is, that you're asking for trouble right there.
And it doesn't help that your quarterback that you drafted first overall is the size of a 7th grader. But
yeah.
Anyway.
My son is taller than he is at 15. So it's
embrace young.
Yeah.
Throw the ball, kids. Yeah. Another couple positives. Sam Howell, 161st preseason ranked, 11th. And Jalen Hurts. We all love Jalen Hurts, but he was ranked 17th and is 3rd overall. Still not getting the respect he deserves.
No, and clearly he still has those turnover issues, but we're being picky at that point. And they're still winning. He's still scoring 2 rushing touchdown, feels like, every weekend. So I love the story of Sam Howell, because going into his final year at North Carolina, there's all the expectations he's going to be a first-round pick, and he completely falls off. But a lot of people ignore that North Carolina had nothing. They had no offensive line. They had no weapons for Howell to throw to. So half the time he's spending his time running, trying to produce offense. The kid's a winner. I'm thrilled for him, because you know how much I love North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's a great story. And I'm glad that, Washington has found a way to get him to get balls to play. They have playmakers, at least in Washington, for him to be successful.
Yeah. And going back to CJ Stroud for a second, you might want to look this week. Tank Dell, just 49% ownership in Yahoo leagues. He's back healthy-ish. And if you can get your hands on Tank Dell, the connection that they're having, that could be a league winner waiver wire pickup in week 10 if you can get him.
And if you can do that in week 10, God love you, because it is hard to find guys in the waiver wire that can help you win your league at this time of year.
Negative at the quarterback. Daniel Jones, preseason overall 13th. Jamie now out for the year, ranked 185. He couldn't stay healthy. They gave him the money.
Saquon Barkley's got to be in there too, right, buddy? Right? It's just
the Giants suck. Come on.
It is wild to me that we thought New York was going to be like the story this year.
NFL did. They're on 18 friggin' primetime games. For God, I gotta watch that every week.
That game last night was just so bad. Like I feel bad for ESPN in that aspect, because you don't have the flex option that NBC does, because you are nailed into that on Monday night. You can flex anyways. But I mean, you're gonna get some duds. But New York falling off the map in terms of, Brian Daboll was being, hailed as the greatest guy ever. But to think that Daniel Jones was going to be the quarterback, I know it's just because he's great at fantasy though. Sometimes you can stream him. You can stream him, but you cannot win with him full time.
Nope. Wide receiver positives. Puka Nacua, like a stone cold stunner out of nowhere.
I know. Yeah.
This is
great name too.
Oh, tremendous handle. And even Jamie, after 2 down weeks, because Stafford banged up and whatnot, still the 13th overall player in fantasy football with fantasy points. Out of nowhere. What a story. Remarkable. Proves he can live with Cooper Kupp. And the other guy, we talked about the Panthers having nothing. I don't know about you, man. 173rd preseason ranking, now 20th. Adam Thielen. Who
I know
thought
he was done.
These numbers.
And I know I said there wasn't many weapons, but that's like
I traded for him.
Yeah.
The guy's a WR1.
Yeah, it's never saw that coming in a million years. I thought the Vikings had done the right thing to move on from. But I guess when you're the only option, these things can happen.
These things happen.
And you can lean on people if you're someone as small and tiny as Bryce Young.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you have to look over the top of people. Yeah. And negative, Devontae Adams, Jamie. How many people drafted him in the first round? Not his fault.
Stop hiring Bill Belichick disciples.
McDaniels, what a cocky, arrogant prick. Yeah. And you could just tell that guy's a jerk, and he got what he deserved. Except, you know what, Jamie? Hey, I'd love to be as big of a failure and still get a 4 years fully guaranteed $50 million. Please. Sign me up.
I would take that anytime for people to call me a cocky prick all the time.
Just,
I would.
yeah.
I would sit in my mansion in Arizona after I retire. Like, yeah, make fun of me, but I am stealing money. I didn't win anything.
Stealing cash. Devontae Adams, and they had a chance to trade him too, which had fantasy owners a little bit of hope. Snatched away, and now you got Aiden O'Connell. Come on, O'Connell's doing nothing.
That was a bad week last week for fantasy quarterbacks, anyways.
Outside
the Joshua Dobbs situation, but whatever.
Yeah, Dobbs was fun. Dobbs was a fun one. By the way, Josh Dobbs is going to be probably the most added quarterback in fantasy football this week.
For sure.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but is he going to win? Is he going to keep this up? That's the
question. The thing is, Jamie, we saw it in Arizona, right? Pops. Yeah. Teams figure you out down, but he has a lot better surrounding tools in Minnesota than he did in Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, like Minnesota's, once Justin Jefferson comes back, then you have some.
Even right now, you got Jordan Addison, you have TJ Hawkinson, KJ Osborne can pop in.
Yep.
Right. Ty Chandler's, that's another ad this week, folks. With Cam Akers, looks like he's going to be done either for a while or for the year. So Ty Chandler as the change of pace backup, handcuffed to Alexander Madison, must add, widely available. Ty Chandler. He's going to be a hot waiver ad as well. Now we look at this one. Last one here, Jamie. Tight end. Positive storm. We know how bad the tight end group is in football. My goodness. But
we got to clear that rule out. We got to the must start tight end every week's got to stop.
Just do an extra flex.
It's got to be a flex.
Just flex.
Because the guys with even Travis Kelce this year, obviously distracted with the situation with his girlfriend or pseudo girlfriend, whatever you want to call it. There's a whole
marketing manager.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, hanging out with Mama Kelce.
And Brittany Mahomes. I hate Brittany Mahomes so much. I hate her, Jamie. I hate her.
My wife shows me photos of Brittany Mahomes every week on the sideline. I'm like, okay, I can't see any more of these photos. Stop.
Her and Mahomes' brother are just the biggest trash bags in the world. I hate them. I hate them so much. Especially that Jackson guy.
There's just too much of them. That's all it is. I don't hate. Everyone's so mad about Taylor Swift, but I'm like, there are other issues.
Yes,
with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm not hating on Taylor.
It's
I just
Mahomes' wife, and of course, like
they're holding hands. It's like
the posse, the people that hang out with you all the time, the ones that just like don't need to be a part of it. No. It was like Novak Djokovic's brother. He's just like, you're not really relevant, but you're still here. Yeah.
No. Brittany Mahomes, you know, she's like holding Taylor's hand. Taylor's like, all right, stage 5 clinger. Brittany Mahomes, get out of here, you wait. That's nuts.
Anyway, she totally would be the "I'll find you" girl. Totally.
Oh yeah. If that breaks, when the inevitable breakup happens and Taylor Swift puts out a chart-topping Travis Kelce breakup song, Mahomes' wife, she's going to be miserable. Miserable. Anyway.
Can we talk about this stuff on this program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Why not?
Anyway, it's the hottest couple in football right now.
Hottest couple in football. That's right. Why Andy hates Brittany Mahomes. The worst.
We have photos of so-and-so with so-and-so.
Yeah. TMZ. Yeah. Tight end, though. Tight end.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with nothing to do with that. Cole Kmet of the Bears, 20th ranked tight end in the preseason. And that's saying something, Jamie, because you can get like 8 fantasy points a week in your top 12 fantasy tight end. Ranked 20th this year, 5th best tight end fantasy producer. Justin Fields effect, even that Tyson Bagent or whatever you want to call him. And here's the thing. You can be the 5th best tight end and you can still not be that good.
Well, remember, like I even look because there's always the rush to get somebody. That I remember Max Mayer from from Notre Dame, huge, highly touted coming out of college. They keep saying this is the guy to go to in fantasy football. I started him last week. I think you got 2 points. Like it's just you keep like the amount of throws his way. Like the tight end position also disaster. But that's a great story. With Kmet, so slower start for him, but he's starting to live up to the expectations that he had when he came out of college. Yeah.
I heard someone too, some analysts like Justin Fields better watch out for Tyson Bagent for his job.
Yeah,
stop.
Whoa.
Stop. Tyson Bagel Bagent, who's most famous because his dad's a championship arm wrestler. Okay, let's relax. Then the guy puts up 7 fantasy. Get out of here to replace Justin Fields.
Who saw that coming? Who saw the 7 points? I don't even know. Like, it's the reason. If I would have just paid $80 for that subscription, I would have seen that. I would have seen Bajan coming up with 7 points.
It was like one of the Fox analysts. Was it Boomer or one of those things?
You're always wondering, because I learned a big lesson about this whole analysis world. And I remember I was at the Super Bowl the year that Russell Wilson threw the interception at the goal line. It was in Arizona. And Chris Schultz, rest in peace, I was standing with him outside before we stepped in the field, and he's like, that's when the whole debate was, should they have ran the football? Mm-hmm. And I remember Chris saying to me, they're making me take the side of they should throw the football. And then I realized right there, you always need the devil's advocate.
Right?
You need somebody on the panel, because when do people complain the most? Well, they all agreed with each other. Well, somebody has to be the guy or girl to say this, they should have went this way, right? So I think we have to, I'm giving you a little bit behind the scenes look of what's going on television, but just remember, there's always the person that has to play devil.
They say, listen, pal, you're going to take that side.
Biggest Bajan's supporter is probably a guy, hey, so let's play paper, scissors, rocks. Who's got to cover up for Bajan here? And Boomer,
like, damn it.
And Boomer's like,
come on,
wreck my reputation. Exactly. That's a come on, man moment on ESPN Monday Night Football.
For the analysts. Worst tight end disappointment. And again, I don't blame him. Darren Waller. The guy was supposed to be top TE1.
3 years in a row. Darren Waller. They signed with the Giants. They love throwing the tight end. Stop it. I can't even listen to people talk about tight ends anymore. Sorry, but go ahead.
I thought, Jamie, going in, that just because the Giants had zero weapons, you'd have to throw it to Darren Waller. But then Daniel Jones get hurt, and we remember that he sucks. And here we are. here we are. If you
gosh, buddy, we sound like a couple of crotchety old dudes sitting now.
Jamie, we sound like two fantasy football players at the halfway point of a season.
Yeah, that's a long grind of a season. Part of our teams are almost winless, just grumbling, and then your kids, your wife, look at you with mass disappointment, and
they're like, "What are you doing?"
One day you'll be me, son.
That's
when you take over this team. You'll take this team over and you'll go through the same things.
And you'll do it. Oh,
yeah.
Boy. But Jamie, love having you on, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
This is great. Now, look, if you're a hockey fan, and you can always ask Jamie Fantasy Football and NFL Talk to. He loves doing that. Tell people where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, at Jamie Thomas TV. I also have a great story for you with regards to Twitter/X. Like, I changed my password to get in to make it better or whatever, this whole thing.
Yeah.
Twitter and their massive wisdom will not let me in because they can't turn off the second layer of security.
Oh God! And
I've emailed 3 times. I've got that email back. Did we? That one where they get? How did you like the service we had?
Yeah,
I haven't even got service. Each time I've responded with zeros. I'm like, and they were, what else can we do to make this better? And I keep putting, actually solve my problem.
Fix it.
Actually fix it. Do your job. So eventually when I get access to Twitter at JamieThomas.tv.
Come on, Elon Musk. He's a Browns fan, probably. Come on, Elon.
Yeah, he has to.
Guy out.
I know it's not his fault, but come on.
It probably is. It might be.
It's always Elon's fault.
Wait. Actually, he like half controls the world. We should probably snuck up to him. No, it's somebody else's fault.
Internet's been cut out.
It's over.
We've lost connection. We're talking to ourselves right now.
Oh, God. All right, Jamie. Good stuff, buddy. Let's do it again soon. Thank you.
See you, bud.
All right. There he goes. Jamie Thomas, my guy. You're a Winnipeg Jets fan, hockey fan. Does great work with them. I want to get one question in because we're a little running heavy, as they say. Going into week 10 on the waiver wire. Let's pull that one up, Shane, if you don't mind. From our buddy Robert F. Gray 1. Andy, Keaton Mitchell is available in my league from the Baltimore Ravens. I know he will be bid on. I have full $100 available to ensure I get him. Would have to bid almost all of it. In your opinion, is it worth it? Thanks. Hashtag Ask Andy. Rob, tremendous question. And my answer is no. Do not spend all of your fab on Keaton Mitchell. And here's why. Now, people will say, Andy, guy came out of nowhere. Put up 25, 6, whatever your fantasy points format is. Why not? Well, you have to look not just at the total. You have to look at the how, the when, and the why he got those points. The how was a big chunk of it came in one play. 66, 68 yard. Big gallop run. Impressive. Guy looks shifty and quick. Don't get me wrong. Nice step. right? Browns will see him this week. But the problem is he took 23.5% of the snaps for early downs in the first half, okay? Even with that, he still had the fewest touches, 10 out of the other running backs. Justice Hill fumbled again. So that might increase if you take it away from Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. And of course, the main running back is your quarterback, Lamar Jackson. So I really caution people. I'm not saying you don't get Keaton Mitchell. I'm just saying don't spend $100 on him. I would be looking to I'd feel comfortable putting up, let's say, 20 to 25% of your fab. So if you have 100, 20, $25. And mainly because there's not a whole lot of other options running back wise out there. But he's still going to be in a mix with at least 2 to 3 other running backs, at least 2 with Hill and Edwards, and then Lamar Jackson. So you're really hoping for a home run threat. You're really hoping he busts one up. He might, but he also might not. Right? So don't go blowing the whole bank on Keaton Mitchell. All right? At least not. And he's probably going to be gone. You're right. So if you need him, I would, out of $100, I wouldn't go more than 25 personally. And myself, I'm not going to be putting a bid on because I just think it's too convoluted. You're going to be guessing. You're going to have too much up and down. It's just like we see with every Ravens running back. It's what it is. Right? It's what it is. So some other guys to pick up this week. Like I said, Tank Dell earlier, Ty Chandler is one to get as well. Stay away from Odell Beckham Jr. I saw you got a touchdown. Stop. It's done. How long have I said it's been done and I've been right? It's over. Odell, stop it. So you got a few options there. Tight end, if Trey McBride is still floating around, Kyler Murray's going to be coming back, so that could be a nice uptick there if he's still there. So if you have any other fantasy football betting questions leading up to waiver wire, whatever, use hashtag AskAndy. Hit me up in the comments. Twitter, X at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns, Instagram at AndyMC Sports. Thank you so much to Jamie Thomas. Thanks to producer Shane. I'm Andy Mack. We will see you live Sunday for a full Browns-Ravens preview and fantasy football start sits and Ask Andy. That's all coming up. Thanks for watching the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.